Welcome to the EU news on September 25th in 2021. We start today in Paris in France. France was supposed to deliver new nuclear submarines to Australia for 56 billion euros, but the deal collapsed. After allegations were raised in Paris that Australia had not kept the agreements, the country is now countering. Australia has contradicted a French representation in the dispute over a broken business for the delivery of submarines. A Defence Ministry spokesman in Canberra in Australia on Thursday said he referred to a letter the content of which the Defence Ministry in France had seen as the green light for the start of the next stage of the contract. The correspondence did not refer to the beginning of the next phase of the program, nor did it approve the beginning of the next phase. That's at least what the Australian Defence Ministry spokesman told Reuters in a statement. The controversial letter is dated September 15th, just before the introduction of a new security pact by the USA, Great Britain and Australia for the Indo-Pacific region. Among other things, this agreement provides for Australia to receive technology from the two partners to build nuclear-powered submarines. A delivery of conventional submarines with a volume of those 56 billion euros that was agreed with the French shipping company Naval in 2016 thus became obsolete. Out of annoyance, France withdrew its ambassadors from Washington and Canberra, among others. On Wednesday, US President Joe Biden tried to calm things down in a phone call with his French colleague Emmanuel Macron. In a subsequent joint statement, it was said that the two heads of state had agreed to begin in-depth consultations to restore confidence and to meet in Europe at the end of October. France also wants to send its ambassadors back to the US next week. And now let's go to Brussels in Belgium. Despite the latest irritations, the EU is sticking to plans to expand transatlantic cooperation with the USA. EU Vice Commission President Vestager announced in the evening that she would travel to Pittsburgh for top-level talks next week, as planned. Strategic alliances are about shaping common approaches and also overcoming difficulties, she said. France, in particular, had questioned the talk. The background to this is the new US Defence Pact with Great Britain and Australia I talked before in the video, which was agreed without consulting other allies. And once again, France is not happy because of those 56 billion euro submarine deal. Talks between the EU and the US are planned in Pittsburgh and will take place for the first time within the framework of a new Trade and Technology Council. The aim is to deepen trade and economic relations on the basis of shared values. I think trust plays a role there too in the future. But now let's go to Ankara in Turkey. A surprise interest rate cut by the Turkish central bank caused the country's currency to depreciate significantly on Thursday. In return, the dollar rose by almost 2% to a record high of 8.7998 lira. The euro gained up 2% and was trading at 10.31 lira, just below its record high in June. The Turkish central bank has also cut its key interest rate because of the high inflation. The key monetary policy rate fell from 19 to 18%. A change in monetary policy was necessary, commented the monetary authorities on their decision. In view of rising food and energy prices, the rate of inflation climbed to 19.25% in August. This is the highest level in more than 2 years and is thus higher than the key interest rate. The Bank of England remained true to its loose monetary policy despite the rapid rise in prices. The monetary authorities around central bank chief Andrew Bailey left the key rate at 0.1%. In addition, they stuck to the volume of their current securities purchase program of the equivalent of just over €1 trillion. In August, consumer prices in Great Britain rose by 3.2% compared to the previous year, so nothing like in Turkey. But still the highest value since March 2012. The British pound cost €1.1685, that's 0.4% more. The euro recovered from its previous day's losses despite weak economic data. The European common currency climbed 0.3% to $1.1724. The upswing in the Eurozone lost unexpectedly strong momentum in September. The Purchasing Managers Index for the private sector, industry and service providers together fell by 2.9 to 56.1 points. There are increasing signs that the economy in the euro area will not be able to maintain the high rate of growth in the final quarter, said Commerzbank economist Christoph Weil. And now one more time we have to go in Brussels, in Belgium. The EU Commission's plan to regulate by way of a directive that electronic manufacturers must use USB-C cables to charge their devices in the future has met with a mixed response from the industry association Bitkom. On the one hand, the plan to reduce waste and electronic waste is welcomed. On the other hand, the association worries that uniform charging sockets could have a negative environmental effect. If some smartphone users could no longer use their previous charging cables for new devices, this would result in more electronic waste. Even now, new devices are often delivered without a power supply unit because so many power supply units are already in circulation. The manufacturers argue that, like that. In addition, such regulatory intervention violates the principle of openness to technology and slows down or prevents future innovations. Apple makes this argument. The EU Commission published the draft of the planned directive, including an appendix, which states that cell phones, tablets, digital cameras, headphones, headsets, portable video game consoles, and portable speakers with a wired charging function will in future be equipped with a USB power delivery charging protocol, or should be. And now let's go to Berlin in Germany. The federal parliament, the Bundestag, Vice President Wolfgang Kubicki from the Liberals has openly admitted to having disregarded corona rules during the lockdown. From his point of view, in his place of residence in Strande in Schleswig-Holstein, as in every place he knows, bars were open despite the ban. And of course, he was also in these pubs, he admitted in a video interview with the Bild newspaper, it's the equivalent to the Sun. The people met at their regular tables because they said, "There is nothing here," explained Kubicki. He doesn't have a guilty conscience about it. "I made use of my right to act autonomously," said the Liberal deputy, and complained that nonsensical measures had caused much annoyance among the population during the pandemic. Against this background, he also targeted the Social Democrat health expert Karl Lauterbach. Despite differing opinions, he personally values Lauterbach very much, but at the regulars table in Strande, people reacted not positively to the Social Democrat. In the north, you would say Spacken or Dumpfbacke. That's really not nice. That's not nice German words. For a good glass of wine, however, Kubicki does not limit himself to a visit to a pub. He likes to have a drink during the day too. I think that when the clock goes into double digits, you can drink a glass of wine and look forward to it, said Kubicki in the interview. However, the time was already in two digits at 10 o'clock when they made the interview. For the Vice President of the Bundestag, enjoying wine before the evening starts is an example of the Southern European way of life. If a glass of wine for lunch cannot be considered typically German, then I find immigration to the Southern European way of life appropriate, he said. Well, in Bavaria they have a beer at lunch, so. Meanwhile, Lauterbach reacted angrily to Kubicki's assessment of his corona expertise. For a Bundestag vice president, this was an unworthy statement, wrote the SPD member on Twitter. I would also know what is being said about Mr. Kubicki, but I still achieve media presence without insulting colleagues, he said. To be honest, Kubicki is a very cool guy. I don't think it's appropriate for a vice president of our parliament to break those rules. He's a role model, but he is really a cool guy. He's not from my party, but he's cool. And I've met him in person before. He's really cool. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.